Welcome to Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. We're in the Bay Area tonight for a winter whiteout and what could prove to be one of the biggest non-conference games on the West Coast this season. It is a house divided here in Moraga. It's the St. Mary's Gales hosting the 15th ranked Utah State Aggies. Alongside Richie Schuler, I'm Steve Quist. Glad to have you along here on this Friday night. Well, Richie, these are two teams from two conferences where at-large berths in the NCAA tournament are not a given come March. So you better get what you can, when you got the opportunity.
Two outstanding programs. I mean, combined 13-1 record, top 35 BPI between these two teams. Heck, both these squads have a Power 5 win under their belt. Not only that, trust me, this game will be discussed by the selection committee come March for that at-large bid.
About ready to jump here inside McEwen Pavilion on the campus of St. Mary's College here in Moraga. Matthias Toss will jump against Justin Bean for Utah State. And it is the Aggies who control the opening tip. And we're underway. The Aggies 7-0 for the first time in 58 years. They'll be a little short-handed tonight. 7'2" center Kuba Karvasky is out with a medical emergency. So we'll see if that plays to the Gales' advantage.
Well, I tell you, Utah State is one of the best rebounding teams in the nation, and it's going to hurt without Karvasky on the floor, but they still have a lot of guys that can rebound the basketball.
And it's the reigning Mountain West Conference Player of the Year last season, Sam Merrill, who has the opening bucket for the road team.
I tell you, both these teams are so good. They're so fluid offensively. They move the ball so well. They're really good off the basketball moving. It's just a work of art seeing these two teams play offensively.
The three from Fitz in and out, and Porter the rebound for a very good rebounding team, by the way. And that three is good. That's Brock Miller. He hit 73s a year ago, tying a freshman record at Utah State.
I know Randy Bennett for St. Mary's was really worried about those transition three-pointers that Utah State likes to hit. Brock Miller just showed you why. In transition, three-pointer on the money.
Here's Jordan Ford. Kuzi and a whistle, and the game's first foul. Gales are 6-1. They have a home loss to Winthrop as their only blemish on their resume. It is two teams that made the NCAA tournament last year by winning their postseason tournaments. And when they played in Las Vegas this time last year, Utah State won big, and the Aggies are out to a 5-0 lead. Three off the mark by Jordan Ford. An offensive rebound as Krebs keeps it alive.
Well, that's huge for St. Mary's. Playing against such a great rebounding team in Utah State, they have to get some boards on the offensive end.
Abel Porter got called for that foul. Good pass inside to Toss, and Toss right over the top of Alfonso Anderson. Welcome to those of you who just watched Alabama and Southern Miss from Atlantis. Steve Quist, Richie Schuler in Moraga, California for number 15 Utah State and 6-1 St. Mary's. Huge West Coast Conference non-conference game right now. A huge West Coast non-conference game. And in the early going, a 5-2 lead for Utah State. This is Krebs. Maybe got away with an extra step and scores it in the lane.
Well, what you're going to see in this basketball game, two really skilled, fundamentally sound offensive squads. Now, I tell you, Utah State, one of the best rebounding teams in the country. St. Mary's, an incredible three-point shooting team. So you have two teams with different strengths on the floor.
Here's the drive by Abel Porter, and he misses, and a foul. Oh, out of bounds. It'll be last touch by Utah State. It'll be St. Mary's basketball, and an opportunity this time down the floor to take the lead. We came on before we had our national audience, and we talked about the importance of this game. Perhaps one of the biggest non-conference games on the West Coast this season, because it's two teams from two conferences where an at-large berth, isn't always a given come March and NCAA tournament selection time. Toss, slip the screen, Kuzi, the assist.
Boy, are they good passing the basketball. But you're right, Steve. I mean, this is two teams that are in the top 35 of the BPI rankings. And you have two squads, a 13-1 combined record between the two of them. Sam Merrill, preseason player of the year. making the bucket. But I'm pretty confident with the way these two teams have played. And, you know, LSU went down to Utah State. Wisconsin went down to St. Mary's. You have two teams that can fight for that at-large bid come March. So I think the winner of this game is going to have an advantage for that at-large bid for the selection committee to review come March. And look at this, Kuzi off the screen and roll and toss. A beautiful roll to the basket, catch, and slammed it home.
Foul was on Toss on the other end. He's first. Gales are 6-1. They have a home loss to Winthrop. Is the only blemish on their resume. The Aggies 7-0 for the first time in 58 years. We mentioned at the top they'll be shorthanded tonight. Their center will not play. 7'2" Kuba Parvosky. And off the turnover, Ford off the window. Won't get it to go.
This is where St. Mary's has to be really good against Utah State. That's in transition. Early on, Brock Miller hit a three-pointer, one of the first plays of the game. St. Mary's has to slow down Utah State, make them play half-court basketball and not get into transition buckets.
Here's Anderson inside, starting for the 7'2" Parvosky out with a medical emergency. Fitz drives with a reverse. And Malik Fitz, who gets you a dozen a game, the South Florida transfer, gives St. Mary's back the lead.
You see his big, strong frame, 6'8", 230. He's physical. He likes to face up and take it right to you.
Ten to shoot. Anderson can hit that. He hit many of them in the LSU win and hits one right from the exact same spot. He was so hot in Jamaica in that exact spot.
I mean, he was really good. At 21.5 points per game down there in the Jamaican Classic. Firing from all cylinders in the sunshine.
Utah State has hit both their three-pointers in the early going. Krebs into traffic. Here's Fitz again, and Fitz goes for the dunk and missed it. And it's out of bounds. Going Utah State's way. Number 15, Utah State on the road. 6-1 St. Mary's in a huge non-conference game here in the end of November. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in for Black Friday deals. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Welcome back to the Bay Area, where number 15 Utah State, unbeaten to this point in November, has a 2-point lead over St. Mary's. Richie, we'd established a moment ago that Utah State is down their starting center, Kuba Kavovsky, but for the 8th consecutive game, no Nimi Keita.
Well, it's a shame. I mean, how good a year he had last year, freshman of the year, defensive player of the year in the Mountain West, and this is a surefire NBA prospect, and he could come out this year if he has another good season and get drafted. There's no doubt in my mind, but you know he's going to be a season better. He's out with that sprained knee, and you know he's just a guy that can finish with either hand. He's developed a little jump shot. I'm really excited to see him play as the season progresses.
Suffered that knee injury playing for Portugal over the summer. And they were working him out today at the shoot-around, but still looks like he had some range of motion issues. And he's just a great player. Porter, the assist inside to Mr. Everything, Justin Bean.
You got to appreciate what Abel Porter did, though. Abel Porter beat his man off the bounce to make it a 2-on-1 inside the paint. He drew in the defense and was able to dish it off to his teammate. That's what a good penetrator does.
Back to Keita for a moment. There's no timetable for a return, and the conference opener is next Wednesday on the road right back here in the Bay Area against San Jose State. Ford the three. He's something else, isn't he?
Many people say the best three-point shot in basketball is the one that comes from inside the paint. And oftentimes that's off a rebound or just inside the paint and kick it out for a three.
And there's a steal by Dan Fotu in the middle, the New Zealander. Ford is a Wooden Award candidate along with Nimi Keita. So the viewers a tad bit gypped here tonight and not getting to see two guys that are on the top 30 list to start the year healthy. Fitz, a nice move inside. He's got two more.
And you're seeing Fitz, his ability to drive the basketball and score. And don't forget about Sam Merrill, Steve. That might be 3 guys in that Wooden Award list.
That's true. Diogo Brito is fouled as he went up for the shot.
Well, here's that offensive rebound. Kick it out to Jordan Ford for the wide open 3-point shot. And then you have the other all-conference player, Malik Fitz. He loves to face up. He likes that spin move en route to the basket. And he's so physical and strong, he can finish with contact.
2 shots coming here for the other Portuguese player here on Utah State's roster, and Diogo Brito. He's a senior from Portugal, and he didn't know Nimi. They didn't play together or anything like that in Portugal. But I guess it would help the transition from Portugal to Logan, Utah, if you have a fellow countryman there.
Yes, somebody can speak some Portuguese with you. You know, talking to Brito during media day, he was telling me, hey, you know what? I love this new 3-point line. It's the FIBA line. He said, I've been playing that line since I was 12 years old. Or a lot of people don't really like it because it extends your range and tests it out a little bit. Brito embraced it.
Yeah, the 3-point line moves back almost 17 inches to the international line this year. 22 feet, 1 3/4 inches. I was at the Wooden Legacy last night. They had 4 different lines out there. I'm like, thank goodness I'm not reffing this thing. There's a 3. Right wing Fitz, and he is heating up. He has 8 points in the early going.
It shows you what he can do. We've seen him drive to the basket and score twice. Now you're seeing his range from that new international 3-point line.
St. Mary's with a slim 2-point advantage here against number 15, Utah State. Bean, he's been excellent since we saw him about a year ago in Logan. That coming out game he had last year against New Mexico at home.
And we talked quite a bit to Coach Craig Smith before the game, and he said that he's really impressed with how Bean's extended that range. Works so hard. He's in the gym 10 p.m., midnight, working on that jumper, and you see it off the bounce mid-range in that previous possession.
Bean comes out to guard Fitz. He does a little bit of everything, does Bean. Include guard pretty well. Krebs got position in the lane and missed the shot. Even. Just over 8 minutes into this one. Here's Brito. Drives. Wild shot. Nearly rebounded there by Trevin Dorius. He's a 7-footer. One of 3 7-footers on this team. Here's Fotu. Nine to shoot. Ford, a good crossover, and then Miller reached in.
Well, you're seeing great ball movement by St. Mary's. This one goes to the junior, Malik Fitz. The stare down 3. It's 16 apiece here in Moraga.
I know it's a bit of a cliche, but as good as advertised between number 15, Utah State, and St. Mary's. We flash back to last year. Utah State beat St. Mary's 80-63 in Las Vegas last November in a tournament. Nimi Keita had 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks. Sam Merrill scored 23 with 8 assists in the game. Of course, Keita won't play tonight, so most of the load on the shoulders of Sam Merrill.
That's why those 2 players were all conference last year. That's why they're there again. Sam Merrill, preseason player of the year. And you take it to this game. Now, Utah State is among the best rebounding teams in the entire NCAA. They're up, you know, collectively 13 rebounds per game over their opponents. In this game so far, St. Mary's has the edge by 1. And you wonder, does any of that have anything to do with the fact that Karvovsky, the 7'2" big man that usually starts for Utah State, being out of the lineup and not even here tonight?
Inside of 10 to shoot, 11 minutes to go, and a whistle away from the basketball. And St. Mary's is going to turn it over. Boy, I perused the box score so far. 10 points in the paint for St. Mary's, 5 second chance points as well.
I like how Utah State runs their offense. This is a great player there.
Oh, and a great offensive rebound by Dorius, and he got it stripped away. Here come the Gales in transition. Fitz lost it, stolen by Diogo Brito.
Utah State, oftentimes they'll run a little set or entry into their motion, but then it's all motion. A lot of random movement and screens, and it shakes up players like Sam Merrill to get into the paint with the ability to score.
Half dozen for Merrill on 3 of 4 shooting. And 15th ranked Utah State with a 2-point lead almost halfway home here in this first half. For St. Mary's, this is Christers Zorix into the ball game for the first time. And physical activity underneath the basket, a whistle.
Well, I like this. I mean, Jordan Ford with a wide open shot, but watch Justin Bean come over and get a hand on the basketball. And that's what you tell your players. Look, go and get the basketball. If you can't get the ball, at least get a hand on it. And if you can't get a hand on it, just take out as many guys as you can in the process. Let one of your teammates get the ball. He got a hand on the basketball. It's unfortunate they call up the foul on him.
Richie, that's a big foul, too. That's the second for Justin Bean, sophomore from Moore, Oklahoma, the former walk-on who leads the Mountain West Conference with 11 rebounds a game. Fotu tried to save it from going out of bounds. So did Alex Dukas. He winds up turning it over. Anderson's already knocked out a 3. And here's Bairstow. Sean Bairstow high off the window. The freshman from Australia with a bucket.
They are so good moving the ball around the perimeter, moving off the ball as well, that they shake free for drives and oftentimes wide open shots.
6-0 run now for the defending Mountain West Conference tournament champs. They lead by 4. Remember Cameron Bairstow from New Mexico when we first started doing this in 2014? Sean's his brother.
Sounds familiar.
Fitz. And a foul. They're going to get Dorius. Boy, Fitz has been awfully aggressive here tonight.
I mean, he is imposing his will. Watch this. The second time that he's gone and got a piece of the rim trying to slam it home. Didn't quite get a piece of the rim there, but you know he was going up strong. And that's going to be 2 free throws for Fitz. But you love that aggression in the way he's trying to attack the basket and set the tone for this team on their home floor.
Fitz misses the first. The Big Ten ACC Challenge is coming up next week, Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern. Number 1 Duke for the time being against number 3 Michigan State for the time being. Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern, number 10 Ohio State against number 6 North Carolina. Both games are on the ESPN and the ESPN app, so you can watch from anywhere. North Carolina, big win over Gonzaga today.
A big win, an ACC foe.
Sorry, Michigan, beg your pardon.
Yeah. Well, Duke lost to Stephen F. Austin earlier in the week, right? That was a huge surprise. They went back and beat Winthrop today. Now, one of their super freshmen, Stanley, though, went out with a hamstring injury. So a little bit of scary news for the Duke Blue Devils.
If I remember, Carolina had the big win over Oregon out of the Pac-12.
Yes.
Here's Merrill left open, and Fotu rebounds it off the front of the rim. Just the second missed shot for Merrill. Here's Toss. One-on-one down to the low post. Goes all Jackie Moon, now throws it out, gets it back in, and with the left hand comes up short. Rito lobs it over the top, in for the 7-foot Dorius, and he's fouled underneath. That's going to be a good battle right there. Matthias Toss with the contact.
Now, Trevin Dorius is only scoring 4 points per game. But you got to throw it down inside to him the way they just did to have balance on the floor. You can't just move the ball around the perimeter. Dorius is a good enough passer where he can pass it out and help other teammates get involved. But this freshman big man and the other one who's not here today, Karvovsky, 2 guys who can really pass the ball out of the post and have really helped Utah State become really good offensive and a really good offensive team.
That's the way you used to shoot free throws, huh?
I got messed up when he banked it home.
Hey, whatever works, right?
It gets the job done.
A redshirt freshman from Heber City, Utah, back after a 2-year Mormon mission. Matthias Toss, by the way, picked up his 2nd personal foul. So you got Bean, who comes back in with 2 personals. Dorius sits down. There's Toss.
Pay attention to number 34 Bean in the dark uniform. Those 2 fouls guarding Fotu. You don't want to see him get his 3rd foul here in the first half.
No field goals for St. Mary's now in over 4.5 minutes. They've fallen behind by 5 inside of 8 minutes to go. Here's Krebs, and he had it knocked away. It looked like it might have been Bairstow who punched it out of there. In transition, here comes Porter. And nearly knocked Porter out. Krebs back and is fouled on the run out.
You're seeing both teams take advantage of the fact that a turnover or a missed shot, they're looking to push the basketball.
In the early going, number 15 Utah State has opened up a 5-point lead over the Gales. A physical one tonight on a Friday evening in Moraga. Utah State by 5, but the dynamic of this game might change a little bit here, Richie. The foul was on Abel Porter. There's a review here to determine if it was a flagrant one, and David Hall saying it is a flagrant one.
Now, silly turnover by the freshman Bairstow. Now, look, Porter goes for the ball, but what David Hall told us is he did grab his arm, and he never let go. So that is a flagrant one foul. There's going to be 2 free throws.
And the ball for the St. Mary's Gales. So they're trailing by 5 points here, which is the biggest lead in the game for number 15 Utah State. Porter just got called for his second personal foul, so you have Bean and Porter with 2 apiece, and Toss with 2 for St. Mary's in what has been a very physical game so far, as Krebs, the redshirt senior from Australia, buries the first free throw.
The official made it clear, though. He did go for the ball, but he did grab his arm, and instead of letting him go of his arm, they felt like the officials that he continued to grab it and pull him down, and that is where the foul is called.
And there was a pretty quick review. And I don't fault Porter there. I don't think he meant to do it all. I had a nice discussion with the young kid. He just graduated in May. Was put on scholarship last winter. This is just his second semester on scholarship. He got a BA in business this past May and working on his master's in HR. I actually had him take a look at my 401 contributions for 2020 since open enrollment's right around the corner. Fotu with 3. Well, if he hits that, it'll be St. Mary's day. That empty possession and a chance to tie right there for St. Mary's.
Well, St. Mary's is still winning the rebounding battle by 2, which is why you have Justin Bean in the game. That's why Craig Smith has put him back in the game to help get some rebounds. Look at that.
Yep, mismatch right there around Aaron Menzies. Count it. And Utah State has an opportunity to build back on the lead now, which is back to 5.
Well, watch this. Look at this. Bean cut up the lane line, caught it right around the free throw, reverse pivot with the rip through below his knees and attack the basket with 1 dribble. That is beautiful basketball, skill development right there, but that's a good move. When you can get the defense flying out at you, out of control, rip that ball below your knees, and then attack him.
This kid's a great story right here. Former walk-on that now scores 13 points a game, 11 rebounds coming in. Only Mountain West Conference player averaging a double-double.
Isn't that incredible?
How about that?
That's incredible.
With all the talent there is in the league.
Oh, New Mexico's loaded, San Diego State. Well, could go on and on.
That San Diego State team beat Creighton in Las Vegas by 31 yesterday. And a foul, and count it. That's Tommy Kuzi. Boy, that theme of walk-ons, there's another kid, Kuzi, who, by the way, had a big year last year and is still considered a walk-on here at St. Mary's.
It's terrific. What again, look, he attacks the basket. He got there in 2 dribbles. You see the defender, is that Justin Bean picked up his 3rd foul?
He just did, yep.
Wow, and he had to be the help. You can see he's not happy about that. He has to play because they need some rebounding. But that's the importance of beating your man off the ball. There was a screen. You beat your man off the ball. You've beaten the primary defender. Now the secondary defender, the insurance policy has to be there to help. That was Justin Bean, and as a result, he picked up his 3rd foul.
Really, without Cada in there, and with Sam Merrill, the second best player on the floor has been Bean, and at times he's been the best player. And so now, saddled with his 3rd, it's bye-bye until the second half.
That is a huge blow. And without Kuba Karvovsky, the 7'2" freshman center, and without Cada, they're very limited in size. And this Utah State squad is a team that, if you look inch for inch, the 2nd tallest team in the entire nation. But not tonight without those 2 guys.
Fitz wants it back, 8 to shoot against Anderson. Drives, spin, and then the drop step, and Fitz has got 2 more.
Well, he has 3 field goals by turning, facing up, and attacking his defender.
10 for Fitz to lead St. Mary's. The Gales are within 2 tonight at home. Here's Merrill with a drive against Kuzi, and he's fouled on that drive.
Well, here he is. Turn and face and attack. And look, he loves that spin move. And because he's done that spin move already today, they know he's going to do it. Watch what he adds. The shot fake. That gets Anderson up just enough where he can go underneath him and score to the basket.
Fitz, an all-WCC preseason first-teamer and all-WCC second-teamer last year. Leading St. Mary's to a tournament win over Gonzaga in the championship game of the WCC tournament, and on to the NCAA tournament where they've been 5 times in the last 10 years. And Kuzi's fouled by Merrill on the floor. First on Sam Merrill.
Well, here's the issue. Kuzi does a good job of attacking the paint. He got inside the paint by driving middle. And bad things happen to defense when somebody drives middle. Sam Merrill gets picked up for the foul.
Kuzi to the line for a 1-and-1. Remains a 2-point game. Merrill drives against Kuzi again, and count it. Kuzi picks up his second in about the last 15 seconds.
You don't mess with the Mountain West Player of the Year. Gets called for a foul on one end, takes it by himself to the basket and one. Look at the upper body strength on Kuzi, the same guy he was called for fouling just a moment ago, to finish that layup.
8 points for Sam Merrill. You know who he just passed for 9th place all time in scoring at Utah State?
Who's that?
The Fro down low.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me
Jalen
more.
Moore.
Oh.
From a couple of years ago.
That's good research, my man.
That's my favorite nickname in all of college basketball.
Well, I think he's going to pass a few more by season's end.
I think it's 13 different statistical categories. He has a chance to get into the top 10 as Toss puts a great move inside on the freshman Dorius for the bucket.
Again, another player who goes down low with the rip through and gets by his defender.
Look at Merrill create that shot.
I think he's feeling the pressure right now. I think he's feeling, hey, look, we're out some big guys. I've got to score. Watch this. Watch the big man, though. Watch him rip it below his knees where his defender can't get it, and he gets that little angle with his footwork. Watch this. Reverse pivot, boom, rip through, reverse layup. That's beautiful, beautiful basketball. Great skill development.
Another one of the foreign-born players. He's from Estonia, a sophomore. There are many of them on both rosters. It's kind of a good place to go, huh? Overseas, Canada. Get a lot of these guys who might want to stay a full 4 or 5 years in the case of many St. Mary's players.
Oh, yeah.
Fitz feeds down on the post to Toss. He's got that matchup again. Out to Fitz for 3. It's good. Fitz, he rips it. He's got 13, and we're even at 28.
This is all Fitz.
He averages 12 points a game. He's a point above that average. Merrill to Brito, a great pass, but Brito can't finish. And ahead, here's Toss on the run out, the finger roll. St. Mary's has the lead, a 7-0 run with 3:49 to go.
2 3-pointers by Malik Fitz. I think it's safe to say he's given Utah State all kinds of fits, Steve.
St. Mary's, who started the year ranked 20th before a loss to Winthrop in game number 2, has made 5 straight field goals. They're on a 7-0 run to lead 30-28. Tomorrow night at 7 Eastern on ESPN, you have number 2 LSU against Texas A&M at Death Valley. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hampton by Hilton. Remember last year in College Station, LSU lost 74-72 in 7 overtimes, and the NCAA has since revamped the OT process. So starting with the 5th OT, teams now must make a 2-point try to start the overtime. So anything to speed it up. That was a great game last year.
Can you imagine if LSU lost that game tomorrow?
How about Texas A&M? I think they've played the 1, 2, 3, and 4th ranked teams in the country and lost to them all. Or have the potential to lose them all. A turnover. St. Mary's with a takeaway. Ford is looking for the assist. Toss! Look at the move inside. Now tell me they're not missing big number 52.
Oh,
and Cada.
Without a doubt. Even having Justin Bean in there with his long arms. And both these teams really, they're both playing outstanding offensively. Wow!
Speaking of outstanding, that's an outstanding pass inside to Dorius for the slam dunk.
Both squads shooting over 50% from the field, 50% or better from 3. The difference in the game is rebounding. St. Mary's is controlling that. They're getting second chance opportunities. That's why they have a 2-point advantage.
Brock Miller had the last assist, and on an assist attempt there, a turnover by the Gales. They don't turn it over all that much, especially Kuzi, the redshirt junior from Mesa, Arizona. Anderson is just being harassed by Fitz. 2.5 to go here in the first half. They're making it tough on Merrill or Brito to find an outside shot. 3 to shoot. Merrill launches for 3 and hits it. That's a clutch 3 right there.
Oh my goodness. Did you see how Merrill almost fell to the ground and was able to use that lower body strength to lift himself up for a beautiful 3-point shot? That shows you what kind of player he is. That was unbelievable.
That's his first 3-point make of the game. He shoots 51% on threes on the season. The reigning Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, scored 21 a game last year. Too long by Brito. Kuzi the rebound. Gales now trailing by 1. Toss. Right side over Dorius and came up short. Here's Anderson driving over Toss, throws it up. Can't get it to go, and rebounded by the Gales. But we told you, almost plus 13 a game is Utah State. I think the Gales are doing a good job. Jordan Ford, what a great move, and attacks the hoop and scores.
Are we watching the Harlem Globetrotters? What a move to the basket. He is so crafty with the basketball.
5 for Ford. All WCC preseason first teamer last year, and it's that Merrill fella again.
If you're not up watching this basketball game, get out of your bed and onto the couch. There's some big-time scores in this game.
Well, one of the keys when we were at St. Mary's shoot around today was you got to run that kid off the 3-point line. Randy Bennett told his team a couple of times he's just 12 for 40 shooting 2, so get him off that 2-point line. Or that 3-point line, rather.
A little bit of time in between the regulation and shot clock.
Merrill's only taken 3 threes, but he's hit his last 2. There's about a 4, almost 5-second difference between the game clock and shot clock. 5 to shoot. Merrill another deep 3. Rebounded there by Fitz. They've got a little over 3 seconds. Fitz, kick out, 3 Ford, in and out.
This place was about to blow with that 3-point shot heading into the locker room.
What a first half of basketball. Utah State had a 5-point advantage, weathered a run, weathered foul trouble. They're down. They don't have a lot of healthy bodies here in Moraga in what is a huge game on the West Coast.